Hi, I'm Firefighter Robinson with Daisy Mountain, and today I'm going to show you how to properly check off brush truck 147. We're going to pop the hood of the brush truck. We're going to check all of our fluids. We're going to pull a lever for the hood. You want to come over here, move the lever up. So for right here, we have our dipstick for engine oil. We have one for our transmission fluid. We've got our brake fluid, our power steering. We have our windshield wiper fluid. And then on this side by itself, we've got our coolant reservoir. I'm gonna head back over here for 1 second to show that all of our reservoirs, if you can see right here, have a minimum and a maximum. Make sure they are in between or close to the max for all of our reservoirs that we have. So next I'm gonna go around and we're gonna check the engine oil first. Engine oil can be checked cold. It can give you an accurate reading. But first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wipe it clean. Once all that oil is off, we will then put it back in. And then we will then check from the second time. We just wanna make sure that we have enough that it's going right past the line. So it looks like we have some good oil. In a good amount. So next we're gonna pull our transmission fluid dipstick. So this one's gonna be more accurate if it is at least warmed up. So if you want to, you can start the truck for a couple minutes, get that fluid going, and that will give you a more accurate reading. So over here we're gonna wipe that clean again. That back in. And the second time we pull it out, we'll see that we've got plenty. And we are good there. And so for here, we also want to check our belts and hoses to make sure that they're in good working order. Yep, and that is it for popping the hood for the brush truck. Same category as checking our fluids here from popping the hood. We also want to check our frame and suspension, which is right here. We just want to make sure it's in good working order, making sure that the brush truck is level, make sure there's no cracks or any defective wear on there. From there, we can check the fluid leaks. What we can do is get underneath. We want to make sure there's no leaking underneath the truck of any sort. Looks like we're good. Then we're going to check the wheels, the lugs, make sure they're tight, fastened. We also want to make sure that there's no chunks staying out of the tire. We have good tread, and that the PSI is also good as well. And then the tire conditioner is in good working order. Also separate from that, we'll pop the hood again. We will check the batteries. So the brush truck does have two batteries, one on opposite ends. So we've got our negative and we've got our positive here. We just want to make sure that they're tight, strapped in, not loose in any way, so that we can get a good charge for each of them. Same thing on this side, make sure they're not loose in any way. Positive connection is good. We'll put the cap back on and now we're good to go. And so also when we're doing the outside inspection, we also want to check for damage or any scratches or anything that is new from something that you didn't notice last week when you're doing your checks. So we'll go around, we'll look from top to bottom. We will look for any scratches, any defective dents, dings in any way. Got this side, we're going to come around to the back side. Make sure everything looks good. And if you do notice anything, make sure when you're doing your check off that you do note that in the comments. Just take a step back so you can see everything. All right. Everything looks good in that category. So now we've checked body damage, we are then going to be checking the lights. So here we're going to go inside the cab. So first, if you want our code 3s, we're going to turn this all the way to the right. And then for all of our lights on the side compartments for our brush, we can turn all right there, and they should all be ready to go. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all of our code 3 lights, red and blue, are flashing on all of them. We can check to the side. We've got our front. We then have the sides here. And then we'll start left to right, looking around. So we've got our code 3s up top. We've got our side lights for our scene lights as well. They're in good working order. For code 3s. And also the back. Move around to our last side, driver's side. Still checking our code 3s, our scene lights. They look like they're all in good working proper order. So next we're going to move inside the cab. First we've got our seat belts. We're going to make sure we're going to check our seat belts to make sure there's no damage, no wear, no cuts. We're going to make sure that it does click in properly and it's good. From there we're going to check our gauges. We're going to look in here. We're going to make sure they're all moving at a good level. Next, we will then check our windshield wipers. Make sure they're working. They're functioning properly. Spray the windshield, make sure that it's good. Next, we will check our mirrors and make sure they're adjusted so that whoever's driving is adjusted properly to them so they can see off to the side. Next, we will check our horns and sirens here. So then we will move it all the way to the right. Make sure that each is functioning properly, and then we will also check the horn. From there, we'll check any damage or cracks with our windshield, make sure that everything is good. And then on top of that, we will then be inspecting the interior of the cab to make sure that everything's clean and that everything is proper in its proper spot. Alright, so next for our checkoff, we are now going to set the parking brake. You're going to push all the way down. You're going to see that it's on. And to release, we will then release from pulling this lever right here. And then you can see that the parking brake is no longer active. Also, what we will do is that we will make sure that our batteries are good. We have good battery, they're checked. And that we will also have our blue bag right here, which will have our registration and our fuel card. So we have our fuel card right here. And then we've got our registration right here. So next we want to check our Mystery Ranch Wildland packs. Make sure that we have 2 of them, one for the driver and one for the passenger. Also, what we want to do is we want to open up the bottom compartment to make sure that we have our shelters and make sure that they're in good working order, and also that you have the right size. This one is a large, extra large, but also medium and larges, whichever one fits to you. Let's close the cab and then we'll go into our compartments. Then we've got our fire extinguisher, we've got our hazards here, we've got our tow straps if we need them. Opening the compartment is going to be our wildland tools. So we've got our shovel, our McLeod, and we've also got our back here. Want to make sure that they are all there. We do also have our 1.5 inch wildland. We have our high-rise packs to extend off of our pump from the back. We do have our irons here, and then we've got extra hose if needed, all 1.5 inches. on the compartment, we've got all of our brass here. We've got all of our couplings, our nozzles, our small gated Ys, and then we've also got our hose clamps here and any flagging if needed. Next, we've got our side right here. So what we've got is that we've got 1.5 inches of pre-deployment. So what we can do is we can attach off our gated Y here, run out, give water, and then we can start fighting off right there any wildland fire we have. Next, we have more of our gated Ys. We have a drip torch here that we're not certified to use. It does not have anything in it. Next, we've got a lot of 1 inch and 1.5 inches in case anything else is actually needed, along with our 2.5. Next, we've got a bladder bag, and we have a chainsaw Stihl MS461. We have the fuel mix, and we've got the oil for our chainsaw, along with some pencil line. And last, we've got our chaps and all of our equipment that we need to service our chainsaw. On top of here, we do have our Ganser packs. These are all also for our wildland specialty. They're all 1.5 inches pre-deployment. And then on the other side, we've got another bladder bag. This one's already full, ready to go. And then we've got our EMS bag as well. We've got some more fuel mix. And this is also our foam. This is for our foam tank and our water tank for the brush truck. We just want to make sure that they're at a good level. You can see this is for our foam. And right here, we can visually inspect as well right here. This is going to be for our water and to make sure that it's adequate and full. All right, so next we're going to be testing out the pump. First, we're going to check our engine fluids. We have a physical gauge right here that shows where it's at. It shows that we're at full. Next, we're going to be checking the oil. We've got our dipstick here. Again, we're going to clean it off, make sure that there's no oil left behind. We'll then put it back in. We'll then pull it back out, check our readings, make sure that we are on full line. We are. All right, we'll put that back in and we are ready to start our pump. So first, before it gets loud, we also do want to note that we want to make sure that our tainted pump is cracked open. Show the lever right here, it is open. And so now we will get ourselves engaged. So first we're going to pull the choke out. We've got our glow plugs, we'll turn that on. We will then turn on switch 4, the pump. And then we will push to turn on the pump. We'll let that warm up for about 30 seconds, and then we will then charge one of the lines to make sure that we've got water flowing. So after about 30 seconds, we will then turn up our PSI, make sure that our gauge is also going up as well with it to get a good accurate reading. For this purposes, we won't turn it all the way up high. So right there. test the booster reel. We've got water flowing through the line, and then we will then turn it on to make sure we have adequate pressure. We do. We'll then bleed the hose. Once we know the pump is operating, let's shut this back down. So that we can then turn off the pump. Also, with the capabilities of this brush truck, you also have off-roading 4x4 operations, as well as the winch you have in the front of the brush truck. If you are doing those operations, make sure that you are with someone who is qualified to do so and that you feel comfortable doing the same. And with that, that is how you check off brush truck 147.